When is that?
Oof.
Is it already out?
Next week, no?
On
Next week.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
But well, real question is, how do you feel about them making the finale a movie?
I can't
Like,
wait. I was gonna do that the last season. I was gonna run out of theater just to go
oh,
watch
that's
it
sick.
in the theater with a bunch
You
of
know,
people.
low key, I jumped in late. I jumped in. What was the last season? Season what? 4 or 5?
Four.
I jumped in as season 4 was ending. Like literally, just started catching up back to back.
Uh huh.
What was
And yeah,
last season? What happened last season?
Do you remember the Vecna is when they should when they
Oh, when they killed the Vecna, when she finally got to kill Vecna?
no, but she didn't kill him.
yeah, she didn't kill him.
No.
No, but he opens the four gates.
And they start spreading into
Yeah, then it
the
takes over
regular world.
Hawkins. I just saw the whole thing again. I rewatched
Oh,
it from
that's why you remember. I remember
fresh
the
in my head.
names.
Yeah,
It's
because
like, yo, how
I
the
didn't want
hell?
to start watching season 5 and not be like caught up, like remember everything. And there was like mad things that I'm a fan, bro. So
I think now you're clipping.
now I'm clipping.
Yeah.
How's that better?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I
Side
wasn't
note, can I tell you something hilarious that I've noticed?
what?
I have an odd shaped head. And the only reason I know this is because doing Zoom meetings, and I only notice where I wear hats. Like this is where the hat naturally fits when I put it on, and then it looks off. So I have to kind of like figure out, and it feels like I'm the Fresh
No,
Prince in my head. But
I think that's everybody. I have the same thing. Like I have to when I have to turn them like mad pressure this way,
yeah,
but then that's when it's straight. Like that's weird, man.
I'm like, bro, I'm looking crazy.
These are guy
Sorry,
problems. You don't know about these guy problems.
No,
And then
but Ben,
I have
when your
hats
hair
too.
starts
I
thinning
have
out,
hats.
and then you really got to be wearing hats.
yeah,
But can we
at
talk
least you
about
don't have to deal with the thinning out.
the thinning out?
No,
That's
please,
like
please,
I've been
please.
trying to hide it. I started combing my hair the other way, get some more volume.
Listen, what I will tell you is, it looks clean. If it wasn't because you said something now, I would never would have thought.
Yeah, it's gotten better.
Yeah, you can't.
I got these two stress bald spots over here from.
Bro, I can't afford any more ball spots. I think I have enough ball spots.
I know, but
You have
I
one
got looks like
able
I got
spot.
bit in the face by a vampire with small teeth.
Right. It's like we're just like, oh, how many six pack? I got one. It's like I have a ball spot, but it's
Able
enough
spot.
for us 4 here in the room, is all I'm saying.
Yes.
I'm carrying the bald sins of all the men in this podcast right
No,
now.
you know what? Your beard is like nice and thick and black, bro, and like you don't
I
have any.
pray every day. Every day.
Look at this, bro. I was looking at pictures from me the other day, like a year ago, and my beard was like all black. It's
And
ridiculous.
you wouldn't dye it
Not now.
later?
Yeah, because no, people already got used to it. If I dyed it black, I look like
No, but you
Hansel.
can
Everybody be
get
like, "What
like
the fuck did
the
you do?"
little things for it. Like you don't have to dye it, but you
No,
can get
like tone. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You tone it.
like the
Yeah.
the touch of gray from
The touch
from
of gray, yeah.
Yeah,
hairline.
exactly.
Gray.
Somebody should remake that brand, right? Like modernize that. They do it with everything else, you
Bro.
know.
That just goes to show you, right? Because I think like I look at myself, it's like, well, this is a touch of gray, and then like over here, like it's not getting so touchy anymore.
It's like too much of a touch. It's like, stop touching.
Someone went heavy with the touch of gray.
But it's funny because you mentioned that. Like now, like are brands like Rogaine still like relevant? I feel like people are either full blown embracing it or like straight up going to Turkey. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I don't like
Yeah, but you know what? You know who uses Rogaine more than anybody?
who women.
I've actually never heard of that brand.
Yeah, but Rogaine is my what is it? Rogaine?
Heard of that
What?
brand?
Yeah, that's
I've
what I
never heard of
see.
it.
So, but have you heard of muesli? Have you heard of muesli?
No.
Muesli? No,
What I know is like, okay, like L'Oreal touch
because
ups. Like I go to the store and in the women's section, like where the hair dye is, I know that I could buy a little spray or like the little comb that has the dye on it to keep me in between appointments.
you know that if you look at the hairsprays, they'll say powered by Rogaine.
No
Really?
way.
No, I'm just making that up.
Oh, yo, Fern, I hate you so much. I was like, that's crazy. Talk about a pivot. Yo, how you got me? That's crazy.
You know.
What's that supposed to mean?
It's yeah, man. Can't fuck with hair loss.
Yeah.
That's a rough one, man. You didn't try Rogaine, Hansel?
So it's so funny you said that. So I started losing my hair. It started thinning when I was 22. So I was fresh out of college. I was working at a PhD at the time, and I remember in downtown 42nd. I remember going, and one day I'm like, it just so happens that I decided, you know what? I've always had a Caesar cut. Let me grow my hair out to kind of get a little like, a little curl, little, taper fade vibes trending now. I was ahead of the curve, guys. I was ahead of the curve. And then I tried to let that grow, and it just wasn't growing right. And I'm like, I just need to kind of even it out. So I got a like fresh, even cut, and it just wasn't going in. So I started panicking. I wait well before like all like the traveling to Turkey and everything. There was like one or two doctors in Manhattan. I went to go see them. They're like, look, it's gonna be 50 grand or something like that. And I was like, yeah, nah, it's not happening. They had like the other option they gave me was the red laser brush or something like that. And that was like, maybe like 600-700 grand for the red laser brush. And then the last was like, you could do the Rogaine, but once you start, you can't not, go back. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to like see if I can rock without it because I don't want to be dependent. And I just, for a long time, was just getting lower and lower until I finally bit the bullet. But it was a
Yeah.
tough, I went through the denial stage, took a bit is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you got like a nice even round head. Like if you had like some weird thing going on and some like crevices, it'd be a lot weird. Like look how
Listen,
it's mad round. I know the hat feels weird, but I mean you
yeah,
could
visually, correct.
like
I mean,
hold
obviously
up the
a little
basketball next
buzz
to your
going,
head.
but
Hold up the
huh?
basketball next to your head so that we can compare how round the basketball is.
I can't.
See,
Profile's
it's
pretty
a man.
solid. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
About the
I'm telling you,
basketball.
that's good.
If this isn't a clickbait, thumbnail, I don't know what is. We're looking for sponsors. I want to go to Turkey. Is all I'm saying. I want to come back looking like Fabio.
Bro, you know what? Just maybe Emirates will just pay for the flight. Like at least that's a big one right there. You get Emirates and you're good.
You know,
Flying first class
side
to
note,
Turkey.
and I don't know if you guys seen this, and I don't know 100% because I haven't done the digging if it's AI or not. But speaking of Emirates, I was being served an ad from Emirates of their, and again, I think is an AI. It's kind of their stewardess. I forget what the stewardess name is. And it was a campaign where like you follow Emirates, you follow their stewardess, and you get a chance to win like a trip, blah blah blah. But it's a full blown account, and I'm almost 100% sure. Well, I'm not 100% sure. I'm like 95% sure that it is an AI Emirates influencer. And I just thought it was super interesting, and it ended, but the content's kind of cool, so I kept following. But just it was so it was kind of surprising how good it was.
But what made you feel like it might not be real? Like the way it spoke, or the copy?
It was just no, just the imagery was really because I didn't see any video of them talking. It was just the images were very kind of like AI polished. Again,
Yeah,
could it just be like super photoshopped?
yeah,
Perhaps, right? But nowadays, the first thought is it's AI, right?
yeah, yeah.
Did you
That's
see
the
that?
hard thing.
Like the Coke commercial that just got like a bunch of heat, but it's so interesting because like their main commercial is full AI and it's so obviously AI, but then their like sub brands, so their the demographic for like Latinos is the Feliz Navidad snow globe commercial that they did, which is so good and it's so like human first. So I feel like there's such a juxtaposition in their own brand of like how they're deciding to go about content. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have seen the Coke commercial. Obviously, like the big one is the one like the truck coming in, and that's all AI, and all the animals are looking at the billboards or whatever, and they're getting a bunch of hate for it because it is so obviously AI. But
Oh, they
then
did.
people are really pissed online to say it looks horrible and it's whatever. But then they have these like secondary commercials going out to, for example, like Latinos, which is the Feliz Navidad snow globe, and it like goes into like a family memory, and it's so human first and not AI. So it's interesting to see like how such a big brand is almost like testing what works and what doesn't within themselves because it's such a big juxtaposition with the AI versus not.
It's like
Well,
I
what
guess
do you think about the Coke commercial? I know it got a lot of heat, but like,
I thought it
what
was
are your
great.
thoughts on it?
I thought it was great. I thought it was bold. Like
So the only thing that I was kind of put off by it is that I've seen higher quality stuff from just regular Joes online, right? Like some of the stuff that I saw, like even if you look closely, like, and again, who's really dissecting a commercial like we are? Obviously, we're in the industry, but like just some of the animal movements seem a little funny, right? Like they weren't quite 100% natural. Which I'm not, we're not over here at National Geographic, but I feel like sometimes even some of the earlier gorilla videos, right, when those were coming out, just seemed a little bit more like anatomically correct. So I don't think there's a problem with them doing it. I just feel like what's the like why not clean it up a little bit, right? I don't know.
I
I think
mean,
I
but
agree
is
with
it
that.
really that serious? Like, I mean, did anybody think that those polar bears were real before, like in
yeah, but that
1995? You know, like
hey,
they're animated. You know, like
the
I just
story's
think maybe
working.
people are, yeah, and I just think people are hypersensitive about it now. So it's kind of like we have to
Well, to be
react, right?
fair,
We're over analyzing things just because they are. Because I mean, I've never and no no in any of those Coca-Cola commercials, I've never been like, yo, that polar bear. I think they drew that. That's not a real polar bear. So we're never real in the first place, you know.
they were exactly, and now they're bringing in all these other animals and all of that. I thought it
Yeah.
was great. I thought it was a great story. I don't understand why people will be so upset about it. Like it's just people just want to be upset about something. Like that's my conclusion. Like what can we be upset about now? You know, before
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel, now it's Coca Cola. You know what I mean? Like it's always
I
something.
mean, that is true.
No,
There's
there
definitely
was
like a
Sephora.
rage economy.
Sephora, what was like in this huge scandal. I think it was for their commercial with Mariah Carey because it was insensitive. It also used I don't know. It was I can't even tell you. It's just so many things cross my feed daily of what people are mad at next, like Ben was saying, that I'm honestly forgetting.
I mean, it's almost become like a marketing tactic. Let's make them upset so that we can get more visibility.
That's really what it. Well, you know
Bro.
what? So that's trending right now, right? Isn't there this whole trend where they're responding to reviews, like, and now there's the apology trend too. So brands are coming out with like, "Oh, I'm sorry that we're such a great brand and that we do everything right and our food tastes so good and all that sort of stuff." And it because man, it's like all day long, people are just upset to be upset. Like, there's no reason. To Fernando's point, those Coca-Cola commercials have been CG for decades. For decades, right? They were cute. Everybody loved the family of polar bears, all this, and now all of a sudden they're gonna be mad because it was AI instead of the studio that did it. It's probably the same studio using AI to
Well,
produce it.
let me play devil's advocate. I personally don't have a problem with the use of AI. Again, so long as people are getting the proper rights and usage and credit to the artists, sometimes the artists themselves are using it to enhance their own art, right? Like that side of it, the tool itself doesn't bother me. I think that the difference, if we were to play devil's advocate here and split hairs, is that those polar bear commercials definitely may help you feel kind of like a warm and fuzzy feeling
Hmm.
at the end, and that emotional kind of element was coming through. um, can you say the same of the new one, right? Or is the whole AI of it all too much of a distraction to let people actually kind of get the emotional element? So, like, regardless if it's justified or not, like, is the campaign doing what it's supposed to? Is it supposed to be emotionally connecting, or to your point, right? Like, is it supposed to just drive, rage bait conversation because everyone loves to hate AI?
We'll go to our senior AI hater slash lover now,
Stop.
friend
I
lover.
Yes, I am born again AI lover. I do agree with Hannah. I feel like that's the thing. It's just it seemed lazy, and I think that they could have actually done a lot with AI to maybe give more of the story like the original story that they used to do with the polar bears and kind of like that warm fuzzy feeling, and that's what I didn't see at all. And I feel like it was very very similar to last year's. Like I almost like the first 10 seconds I couldn't tell the difference of like the trucks coming in and stuff. It was nearly the same exact commercial. But yeah, I don't know. I understand both sides
Well,
today. I'm not devil's advocate today. I understand both sides.
Well, like to that point of maybe it's just sloppy, right? Because didn't Deloitte have like an issue with AI where they did some report or something? I think with the Australian government, and they had to refund some of it because they didn't even read the report. So
oh,
people, yeah. So the Australian government was upset because they paid like $400,000 for this particular report, and it was like an AI report that nobody vetted and that people are just like
Well,
not
but
paying attention to.
that's the problem though, because what has happened is that AI has enabled people to be lazy and they don't read. And I don't know about you guys, but man, when you get those emails and you know they're AI, and you're just like, damn, bro, like we talk once a week, and you're gonna send me an AI written email, like you can't even take the time to like, I mean, really, So it does it has okay. I think that there's a big difference in enabling productivity and enabling laziness, and I think it just comes down to the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So if your whole team is not willing to sit there and read an 80-page report that was developed and being charged millions of dollars for, and you are supposed to be like one of the largest consultancies in the world, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
yeah,
well, didn't like one of these major consulting companies get in trouble recently for doing literally just that?
yeah.
No,
Deloitte. That's what I just
Deloitte,
mentioned.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the Deloitte part.
No,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
it was them. So it was with the Australian government. I remember now that, and they did a report. They charged like over $400,000, and the Australian they had to give them a partial refund. And I don't even know how they just didn't have to give all the money back, but
no, I mean,
uh, they must have had a good contract. You know.
I mean, I think that goes, bro. I think that goes back to the question of like, all right, so if AI is a tool, then when should people be using it, right? Because clearly, I think that people are deciding to use the hammer at every single instance, right? Where maybe you don't need a hammer, right? Perfect case in point, we started talking about creative. Like, I think about, yes, it was used for production, but if we were to mesh our conversation of, the CGI was always there, well, could have they maybe done some kind of better copywriting or voiceover to kind of drive the storytelling and kind of bring the conversation or the attention back to the message versus like, oh, that's nitpicking over small little, I don't know, anatomically incorrect movements for the penguins. I don't know, right? Like, would that have done? And I don't know.
I'll build on that because you touched on a specific word that I think is really important, which is copywriting, right? So initially, this became everybody's tool for creating copy, whether it was email copy, captions, headlines, full-on articles, blogs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that if people are starting to notice the difference between something that's written, that it happened in the New York Times not too long, like I think like 2 weeks ago. They published a front page article, and at the end they had like and now would you like me to talk about this and this and this, and they actually published it. This is the New York Times.
No,
So I think that copywriting, especially when it comes to the ad world and creative, that's an art. It's an art form, and I think it's so important that it doesn't lose that human aspect, so much so that we internally have tried to move away from any AI generated copy and really starting to lean in more on human writing, because it's just more real, it feels authentic. And as much as you can give brand guidelines, you can give guidance, you can load up the AI with all of the brand voice, it's still going to sound rehearsed, and it's still going to sound regurgitated, and it's still going to use the same words that the other brand that's in the same category is using, and
correct.
it just becomes really sloppy you know
Well, what are your thoughts on copywriting versioning, right? Like what it, does, and again, just kind of diving deeper into that comment, right? Like let's say you have a main copy that maybe for a TV spot that you've designed, but then you want to just get or maybe let's call it a 60-second radio spot, but you want to, a reversioning for 15s or 30s or a live read. Is the idea that you should be able, are you against, or would you shy away in that reversioning space? Or would you saying it's like, look, any copywriting should really be human focused because there's like a specific one-to-one touch point that we should kind of make an effort as a collective to protect, right?
Got it.
Honestly, I think that for the most part with copywriting, and again, like Ben mentioned, in the agency, we've tried to really focus on the human aspect. I think more for overarching headers and overarching like storytelling, but I think that AI is a great tool as like bouncing off of that and creating maybe supporting copy or maybe caption copy or descriptive copy based on that human made header that you know is going to connect. So I've been reading this book. It's called Hey Whipple, Squeeze This. And I actually realized that there's a bunch of different versions of it because as time goes on, they tend to modify it, like with what's new, which is pretty interesting. And something that I think AI does with copy is that they try to be like weirdly clever or cringy. Like, how many times do you tell your AI, or at least I do? I'm like, oh, that's so cringe. Like, give me something else. And I think that's what other brands are like. They're just falling under the same like cringe, which is I know is such a Gen Z term of mine, but it tends to just like fall under a specific formula. And this book talks about how when it comes to copy, you need to be clear first and clever second, and
Hmm.
how if you have to explain the copy or almost like reason with it to somebody who's not understanding it, then you just have to exit and start over. And it was actually funny because I told Ben something, or I sent something to Ben, and he was like, "Wait, I don't get it." And then I told him what it meant, and he was like, "Oh, but," and I told him like, "We're not going to use that because if I have to explain it to you, like that just like beats the purpose of this copy. Like there's going to be more people like you who are not going to understand it."
Correct.
So they basically use the litmus test, which is the litmus test can be with any industry, but it's just a very clear pass or fail. So like, is this clear? It's not yes, but no, pass or fail. Like, yes, it is clear. No, it is not clear. And then you want to be able to like say what you want and solve the problem with the copy as well versus leave it have it be abstract, leave it to interpretation, specifically in an ad. Like you don't want people to be like, oh huh, you want to be like, oh okay, oh, and that's what they did, kind of thing. So I really recommend the book. We'll put a thing here. But that really started the conversation of okay, AI is our tool, but once again we are in control of that machine.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, the thing that comes to mind when you said that is I want to read that. First of all, that sounds actually like a cool read. But two is, you know, it would be great almost to have a agent or some type of project, within AI, who can then, instead of writing it, can just make sure that what can serve as an editor then, right? Like if the idea is to not replace the copywriting, how do you use AI in that space? Then, well, maybe as an editor, hey, am I staying clear? Am I staying true, right? With,
Yeah.
am I straying too far? That to me actually sounds like a pretty cool use case. Like we said earlier, though, the risk there is managing teams to making sure that they don't get lazy and just go
Yeah.
Well,
the
it
opposite of.
also, I mean,
Yeah.
there's also that litmus test can be used using AI, where
Mhm.
if you're building your personas of the consumer with AI, and now you're testing the creative, you're testing the copy against those personas, you've given enough information for it to be able to act in a certain way and dissect things a certain way and convey whether or not this makes sense
Yeah.
for me as Ben the whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of different ways that AI is still going to be used and still help us to develop better copy and better headlines and better connection, right? Because I think that more than anything, it's connection. And it's funny because the other day I sent something to Fernando about George Lois, and he was like, "I don't know who that is." And I have studied the ad world for at least 2 decades, right? Like for me, advertising all the way back to the 50s and 60s, looking at what David Ogilvy did, people like George Lois, and seeing how their careers developed and seeing what they're doing, the Wyden and Kennedys, these brilliant, brilliant minds who formed the ad world. For me, it was like there's this one ad that I know AI would never be able to develop the copy for, and it was a Volkswagen ad, and the headline was lemon. That was it. And then it went into this whole explanation because at the time it was like it was the Volkswagen Beetle, and man, how would AI ever be able to make that connection with the
Yeah.
consumer, right? And it was an insight that was had on the consumer and their sentiment towards the Volkswagen Beetle at the time. You're talking about a time where everybody was anti-Germany, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Man, that you think about that copy and it's like that is genius work. That's something that can only, I think only, at least for now, a human would be able to think on that level and see that connection and be able to build that connection between one person and another in a way of conveying a message about a product or a service that's going to resonate and be memorable.
Yeah. Yeah, and to add to that, I think that, um, or even to what Carlos was saying, even when we think about the results that we can get out of AI, a lot of it has to do with what AI is the best for, which is the analyzing data, right? So as much data as you can share with it, the closest it might get you to something. But I think we also have to be cognizant that it's almost like your art. It's art direction, right? There might be a little nugget here that of something that you can get from it can spit out 10 pages of shit, and you can go through it, and it just might be one sentence that makes sense to you, with another sentence from another 10 pages down, you know.
Yeah.
Because even when I think of it, for us, right, like how do we use it, or even for some of the brands, there's certain things that it's like you're building, you're on set, you're an art director, and you see one thing and you see another thing and you see another thing, and separate, they don't make any sense, or or the machine doesn't make the connection. But when you put it together, you're putting together a beautiful image, a picture, you're painting a scene, you're painting an emotion, which AI can't do.
Yeah.
So I think AI is that tool that can give you little nuggets that you can turn into something beautiful.
It's funny you say that because the reason that I started like the whole like copy spiral, separate from like seeing the struggle within the agency of like having that gap, um I was trying to come up with like a header with AI for something a couple months ago, and it wasn't getting me anywhere. It sparks ideas, so that's what's great about it. Like you said, like you get nuggets here, nuggets there. And I was like fighting with it. I'm like, no, like I need something better. Like I need something that sounds more like this or whatever. And then I was like, what about this? And I'm like, why am I asking AI right now? Like I just wrote this copy by myself. Like why am I being like, what about this? And that's when I like it hit me. I'm like, wait, like we just need to take a step back and
Yeah,
start kind of a little closer to the ground and then build it up
that's
before we.
pretty funny though. It's like
It,
you gave all the power to AI.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
wait.
it's incredible because if you, I mean, I've had so many conversations recently with people that you would never think use AI in any way, and then they're telling you things of how they use AI, and you just realize like what's happened. And I think it's ChatGPT. Obviously, we have to call it by name, right? Because not
Yep.
Yeah,
many people are using Cloud or anything. But
yeah,
ChatGPT has become like their validator, right?
yeah.
And I recently had a conversation with somebody who was, discussing something very personal and how they went to ChatGPT and how they were looking for specific information and specific meaning in a text message and in an email that they got. And I was like,
Me.
but it's
It's
gonna
sycophantic. It's
validate.
gonna agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
it's
gonna
gonna
agree with you.
validate what you are what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna tell you. I'm sure like if you would have spun it and said like, oh well, is this person happy with me or this is person mad at me? And they're gonna tell you exactly where you're leading it because they think
Correct.
that's what you want to
Yeah,
hear. And people
yeah,
seem to forget that. But Gato, your use case is exactly what the
Yeah. Yeah.
problem is, where people don't even trust themselves anymore, I
Yeah.
think to a point and they don't realize like this here is what matters. Like
Correct.
the person who is the way that we have come out with this podcast is so that our audience feels like they're part of this Zoom call, so that they're part of something, and that they can lean into these conversations and feel like, yeah, I relate to that, or I understand that, or I disagree, or and that's human. But if
Yeah.
there's no type of tension with the person that you're going, not person, with the system that you're going back and forth with, that has just been trained on all of these different biases. And there's a book that I recently read, called Scaling AI Responsibly, and that book goes into the biases of AI and how who is training the AI. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys realized this recently or not, but for some reason, all of my, like the way that it would return certain, like the word flavor would be in the British sense, like FLAVOUR, instead of
Interesting.
flavor the way we do it here in the US, which is VOR, no U.
Yeah.
And I started picking up on these things like, man, so who's training it, right? Like
Correct.
who's giving it this information? And there's going to always exist those biases. And when you talk about, if you're trying to push a product that, is going to connect with a consumer that is more price conscious, right? Are they going to understand the intricacies of certain things and the way that is explained by AI because it was taught by a physicist? Probably not. A lot of times I get an answer, and my thing is like explaining like I'm five, so that it can be in its simplest form and I don't have to use my brain because I'm just so exhausted, right? But sometimes that's the way that you have to do it, because if not, what you're getting in response is just over your head.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
and also is uh, the explanation accuracy is not as high as people think it is, right? Like I've had conversations where people, and this is, I'll say this real quick because I don't want to be off topic, but for people to really think about that, the answers are never as accurate as some people might think. Like in statistically, like medically, like the when
firm
people look
facts. I
for
was
that,
just about to ask you. Give me some firm facts.
for medical advice, statistically, at a statistic level of accuracy is below 60%. You know, if you went to a doctor and out of 10 questions you asked, he got four wrong, you're never gonna go back to that doctor. You know what I mean? Like,
And I'm here on
well,
chat MP every
yeah,
single day.
yeah.
It's like my head hurts.
Because it doesn't catch the nuances. It doesn't know your body. It doesn't know your blood. It doesn't know
Correct.
your
I
history.
will say,
You know?
well, and here's where people start uploading their blood results.
No, no, and I
Don't
have,
do that. This is not medical advice.
I have done that. I have
I
done
said
that. I've done all my work, and it can give you things, and you can ask your questions, but you have to understand, like it's not as accurate. It's not a real person. There's a lot of complexities in the human
Yeah,
body
that are
that
being missed.
doctors trained for a long time, and now yeah, there's shitty doctors, but there's good doctors. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, my cousin's a doctor, and he says that they have like a in-house like chat like AI
Yeah,
model that is like HIPAA approved, and they can use to diagnose
yeah.
like
So, and I'm
cancer.
sure we'll get there. And I think going back to the copy and using it properly and where AI can take us, I think eventually we will get better results and better things, especially when people understand how to use it, right?
Yeah. You
Because
know,
it's the data that we're uploading that I think a lot of people still don't understand how to feed it, what to give it to get the outcome they want.
well, what I was going to say was on that note, what this conversation really kind of I kept thinking about and landing on is a kind of a topic that we've talked about even on the experiential side and when we talk about branding, which is culture, right? Like, I think that the reason why copywriting is so essential to me, I think, in this conversation is because AI can't create culture. It can regurgitate, it can synthesize, but it can't create culture. So when you're trying to be witty, funny, the Volkswagen campaign about lemon, it's very cultural, fast moving, element that it cannot recreate. well, it cannot create, it can only recreate, right? So I think to bring it back full circle, not only on how we use it, at BG, but also bring it back full circle to the Coke example. I think that the reason why the Coke commercial didn't hit the way that it normally does is because traditionally the visual is the element, visual without copy. The visual is supposed to convey an emotion, a cultural connection, some type of emotional reaction. And maybe the AI just wasn't hitting the right scenes, the right example. Maybe if they would have had the VO, the copywriting would have, and then it would have made the visual second, right? And I think understanding what's leading to the consumer, is it going to be the copy, is it going to be the visual, and making sure that the human element is bleeding in with whatever the primary message is going to be, right? Copy or image.
Yeah. Yeah. I there's a lot there because realistically, you start to see the integration of this and how it's affecting all of those things. And you have to think and stop for a second and say, like, what is the true benefit? Like, where does the value come in?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I don't know. I want to say that, um, there's, we've had a lot of conversations over the past few weeks. And I think that seeing how AI has played a role in the transformation of all of this in the last 6 months, and where at the beginning Gato was essentially like anti AI, and now she's a full adopter. But now Fern and I are like, well, you don't have to use AI for everything.
Now we are
And
the
yeah, and
yeah.
not that we're we're not the counterculture, and we're not trying
But
to.
that shows you like where people's minds are going to go
Right.
in a way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because that, and it's cultural, to your point. It is cultural because you start to kind of take heed on certain things and say, well, how do we navigate this in a way that is not going to be disruptive or affect us in a negative way, right? I think that that's really key to the way that things are being done now, which is, where does it add value in our everyday? Like, how does it become part of a system versus leading the charge? And I think that that's the key, right? It's no longer, no, we're no longer, we're going through a hiring process right now. And if we relied on AI to just go through the resumes of
I was going
who
to say, don't even
qualified,
open that can of worms.
forget it. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, and we tried that exercise, and we had to go back and review 300 plus resumes, because if we relied on what we were getting, it was ridiculous. um so for me, I think that I've come to the realization that we are still leading, and we are still leaders, and AI is a great, phenomenal tool, and people shouldn't be mad that Coke used it in a commercial. They should be happy that they were willing to take the leap and explore something new, a new technology, and see what they could come up with.
Yeah.
Um, because it's not like they're sitting there running their formulas and trying to create a new formula for something that you're going to ingest in your body. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Like that's the human side, right?
Right,
Like,
right, right. That's true.
I mean, like, you have to look at this from the lens of, how does this add value? And a commercial, in the end, like, yeah, it has its a goal, its business goals, and its objectives, and we create this creative for a reason. But it's also entertainment, man. And I sat there and I saw that commercial, and I was like, this is great. This is awesome. And I love the story. They kept it true to Coke's year over year Christmas theme. They're bringing in all these other elements, and knowing the production side, knowing the creative side, knowing how that whole process works. I thought it was genius. I don't know why there was a backlash at all.
Target audience was reached.
Yeah.
Failed
You're,
successfully.
you're
So that's why.
smart. You're
But let's say that what you're saying, Caro, is true. Then mission accomplished. No.
Yeah, Coke is watching this like, yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly
That's
what
They're
I
like,
want.
all right, guys, get started on next year's AI
Yeah.
commercial.
it.
just as a nod to Coke, I mean, we're running our new campaign with Vicky and Coke, right? It's a Coke collaboration, and we went through this whole process like how we're going to refresh this, and we started looking at certain things that we wanted to change, and we used AI to change them, and nobody would ever know that we did it unless I disclosed it right here, right now.
We did an AI pastelito with guayaba.
This is a Catalyst Conversation exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll drop the commercial here, but I think that to kind of summarize overall, I don't think that there is this technology is still too new to say, all right, this is the way that you have to use AI, and this is how
That's
it
true.
applies, and this is the way it works. It's how does it work for you? Don't be scared of it. Try to adopt it and bring it into what systematically works for you, because it's not going to be the same use case for me. It's not even this, even internally at the agency. What works for me is not going to work for Fernando. It's not going to work for Carlos. It's not going to work for Hans. It's just the reality, Now we create formats and GPTs and certain things that help us along, but it doesn't, to be coherent, but not because that's the best use case for me personally.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't wrap it up any better than that. Except with that, I take all of that with a grain of salt, and then we turn around and Gemini 3 was just released, and then everything is through the roof.
I tried it already.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, our producer who's behind the scenes, yesterday I shared like, hey, Gemini Pro's ready. And then I'm scrolling through Instagram and our producer page was already like with his like Gemini Pro full video explanation of how it works. And I was like, damn, bro, this guy's good, man.
This guy's good.
I'm glad he's on our team.
He's like, bro, you should have been texting me. He's like, well, I was too busy missing the video, man.
Bro, I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
But we're I think this is Thanksgiving Day is tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Thanksgiving is tomorrow.
What?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is next week, dude. What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about.
The episode drops on next Wednesday.
Oh.
It'll be tomorrow. AI can't replace us.
Well,
What are you talking
our
about?
deficiencies.
Oh man, that's funny.
Everybody's AI brain was on, but Fernando, he's just 2 hours ahead. That's what it is.
He's like,
I'm like, dude, it's Friday. What are you talking about? Thanksgiving.
that's hilarious.
Like, I'm in Chile. It's November 21st. What the fuck are you talking
He checked the calendar and everything. He was like, what?
Like,
He said,
What are you
hold up.
talking about, bro?
What are you talking about?
He said, I haven't started seasoning my turkey yet, bro. What are you talking about?
I'm like, damn, move to the future.
All right. So, being that the people who are watching this are watching this on Wednesday, maybe on Thanksgiving, maybe the day after, but we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and we hope that you guys have a wonderful time with your families, and we're all very blessed to have all of you as part of this. So, thank you.
Listen, and if all else fails in the Thanksgiving table, just pull out Gemini and like start, cropping people and doing some interesting images and videos.
The crazy person in my house trend on Gemini. Entertain your grandparents.
And if you do, tag us. We want to see it.